Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Haggard, along with my partner, McCarron. We're here to announce that a lawsuit is going to be filed against the City of Orlando, the Orlando Police Department, and the entertainment district known as the Block, and a number of those restaurants in downtown Orlando, involving the tragic and terrible mass shooting during Halloween of last year. 19-year-old Tim Schmidt Jr., who you see right here, and 25-year-old Tyreek Hill, two absolutely innocent young men, had their lives taken that evening, and we from the Haggard Law Firm stand with both Tim Schmidt Sr. and Teresa Clinton in this pursuit of justice. It's another mass shooting. And you know, that rolls off the lips just a little bit too easy in the United States and in the state of Florida. Our firm has handled the Parkland mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the Dollar General shooting in Jacksonville, the shooting of 3 football players at the University of Virginia, the shooting at the Hot Yoga in Tallahassee, and many more. We stand here next week, 9 years after Pulse, where 49 people lost their lives. And everybody in the community should ask one question: has anything changed? Has anything changed in society? Has anything changed in how businesses deal with this, the government deals with this, or anything along those lines? As we know, last year during Halloween, around approximately 75,000 people descended upon downtown Orlando for this event. We know that these events happen often. They are huge. There are huge tax revenue events. They're for profit companies making money. It's like having an NFL football game, as we all know. These parents want answers. They want answers as to who planned everything, who pulled the permits, who is in charge of security, who is in charge of ingress or egress. There were 10 victims that night. We know that Tim and Tyreek lost their lives and left behind these 2 amazing parents who met because of this tragedy. 7 other people were shot. 1 victim was trampled in this terrible tragedy. We have filed notices of intent to sue the City of Orlando and the Orlando Police Department, as we're required to do under state law, but we will be suing a number of private organizations within the entertainment district, the Block, and a number of different entities. And those are the questions we have to find out. How did this private-public partnership work? What was the planning going into security for this event? We all know that they had notice early on that evening of this assailant when he was confronted by police. What happened after that? And how can this be prevented again? We sit here in a society where just this year we've had several hundred mass shootings. The United States averages over 600 mass shootings a year since 2020. That is not 3,000 shootings, ladies and gentlemen. That is 3,000 mass shootings. We need answers. Orlando needs answers from their government and from this entertainment district. And most importantly, Teresa and Tim need answers as to how this happened and how this will never, ever happen again. With that, we'll take questions. Well, I think Tim will talk first.
I stand in front of you today not because I want to, but because I have to. Because silence would mean acceptance, and I will never accept this. As Mr. Haggard just mentioned, we're coming on 9 years of Pulse. What has changed since then? What's it going to take, Orlando? When are you going to shape up, start looking after people? This is a tourism destination, one of the top in the world. You want people to keep coming here? Shape up. This keeps happening. It's indescribable. What's it going to take? A shooting at Disney? A theme park? In a sports arena? Why are the streets not safe, but those places seem to be? I'll never understand that. I'll tell you a little bit about my son. The one whose blood stain I found in front of the Sly Fox on Orange Avenue just yesterday. It's still there. He died in the street like a dog in Central America. He didn't deserve that. Seeing that wiped out every good memory that I had here in Orlando with my parents. We came here from the Midwest many, many times, sharing memories at theme parks, seeing the beaches at Cocoa, etc. All the soccer I had with my son, playing around this area in tournaments, the Disney Springs tournament, the Disney Tour, wiped with one fatal shot to the heart. Because we don't know. That's what we're trying to find out. My son was overachieving. He had friends of all walks of life. The best friend circle a parent could ever ask for. Always laughing, always working on himself. Parents, coaches, teachers even reach out to me every single day to get lunch, to get a drink, to talk, to share pictures. That's who he was. His funeral had over 1,000 people there. We probably had more security at that funeral than they did on that street that night of the fatal deaths of these two right here. That's how impactful he was. People came from London, Colombia, California, about a dozen guys from Boston who went to college there. Their parents paid the money to fly him back, even though it was a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, where they'd have to get him another flight to come back, and then another one for the holidays. That's how much he was loved. People from all over came. I had over 100 people I went to high school and college with. I've been in Florida 25 years. You know how impactful that is? They met him when he'd come to Minnesota. They met him when they'd come visit me. They knew who he was. They knew he was my everything. Everything you see online about him, all the stories that have been running, that he was my mini-me, my best friend, they're all true. And it's even closer than that. I can't explain what we had, mostly because I got primary custody of him at 9. We spent every moment together, every moment. Didn't matter if he had a soccer game and it was his mother's weekend to take care of him, and it was an hour and a half away at 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Even if I had plans the night before, I'd get up and I'd go to that game to watch him and support him. That's who I was with him, and that's who he was with me. Books, weight room, YouTube videos, he did everything he could to advance his life and excel. He was a sponge. He wanted to learn. He was going places. That's who he was, and that's who was taken from us that night. He dropped the nickname Timo, which he had from a young age, because, let's be honest, most Latin people can't say the name Tim very well. Hearing team is like a sports team. No, it's Tim, you guys. It's Tim. But he did that because he wanted to be just like me. He wanted the junior-senior thing to be carried. It's something that he was proud of. One day he approached me and said, "Dad, can you change your Instagram name?" I said, "What do you want me to change it to?" He said, "Well, it's Tim Schmidt 9. It should be Tim Schmidt Sr., and I'll be Tim Schmidt Jr." And after that, he took us to get tattoos, which we have on our arms that say junior and senior. Forever bonded. I'll never see him graduate college, secure a career, get married, have kids, and I'll never have grandkids to spoil. Instead, we channel this pain into fuel, the charity, to help my son, to help people go through things with similar tragedy. My son has helped so many people in his life, and all those messages are on our charity website, which is now live, untilforever.org. You can read his story, and you can read all this outpouring of support I got on messages from people I knew and didn't know about how he helped them. And those are all put together in one montage that you can read and digest. So we want to be there to help people. Funeral expenses, therapy, meals, anything. We're going to help. Our mission is here to help victims, families of senseless crimes, the ones that took Tyreek and my son. We want to be there. People started GoFundMes for both our children. They were wildly successful. Shouldn't have to rely on those. There should be people out there. I want to make that phone call and say, "I'm so sorry what happened to you. Here's how we're going to help you." We want to lift the burden off those people. So anyone out there who wants to be involved at a corporate level or donate, anything helps. It can be time, it can be resources. Reach out to us directly, untilforever.org. I was so touched when my son called me a problem solver and a leader in his best man speech just over a year ago in Costa Rica. I have to prove him right. So along with the help of family and friends, I'm turning this pain into purpose. Untilforever.org is our fuel. I'm not here asking for sympathy. Thoughts and prayers are appreciated, but they don't stop bullets. Help us any way you can and know that's going to a great cause. While we'll never get our son back, we can keep his helping heart, the one he was shot directly into on that street over there, by providing love and support for others going through the same thing.
Hello, everyone. As I stand here today, I never thought that I would be standing here to talk about my son in this way, in this circumstance. But as a mother, I wanted to be behind here talking about the success. On November the 1st, 2024, my son, he wanted to be an entrepreneur like his mother. And I say, "Son, write the vision down and make it plain." And that very day of November the 1st, 2024, me and my son was going to sit because he worked for the tow company in Winter Garden, the car store, Mr. Garrett, whom he loved and he shadowed and he looked up to. My son was about to purchase his first towing truck at the age 25, but he never made it. Tyreek Hill was a young man that was a gentle giant. Until today, I did not know that he impacted so many people's lives. Until the day that we had to bury him. Like you, there was over thousands of people. Even at his vigil, there was about 500. Never thought that I would have to say this behind this podium in this way. Tyreek Hill, I like to think of him as the gentle giant that walks into the room and his smile gave joy in the room. He was a young man of love, kind, understanding, a man that gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. He would light up a room. And if he didn't understand something, he was a young man that would ask. And he would go around until he got what he needed. I was Mardukes to him. I was special to him. The only man that ever kissed me on my forehead. He didn't have to be around to know that I was going through something. We had that kind of a connection. And I can say that night, before he went, he had worked hard. And he had Friday, Saturday, and Sundays off. So he said, Mom, I want to go downtown. And me, as a mother, I said, are you sure? Because it's Halloween. And he said, oh, Mom, I don't worry about that. I want to go be with my friends and interact with my peers. I always look for a phone call early in the morning from my Tyreek Hill, my gentle giant. I got a phone call that morning, but it was not him. But on Friday, November the 21st, 2024, I was waiting on a phone call, and I got one, but it was not from my gentle giant. I would never hear his voice again. Oh, how I would long to hear that voice. To lose your child like this is the worst thing ever. We know that we all have to leave here, but what a way to go. Because of someone else's negligence, inconsiderate, I don't care. Not enough of what's needed to protect the people. So since this have happened, I often ask myself, I often blame myself. And then I was sitting about a month ago, and I said, was I at fault? Because I felt like I didn't protect my son. Was my son at fault because he wanted to be out amongst people like a young 25-year-old to be normal? Was it the crowd fault that was at this same event? Not thinking nothing like this, like we normal people, we go out, we get into our car, and we don't expect things like that, right? Especially at an event where we feel like we're protected. As I remember in the front of my mind, the last time that I seen my son I thought it was the last time that he said, I'm going down there. But the last time that I seen him alive was downtown, and his hands were like this. And I often wonder, what was my gentle giant thinking? Looking all around, admiring the women, the girls, thinking, I'm loving this. Never expected not to return home to his Madus. So I asked this question today. Who do we blame? The young man that did the act, the crowd, Timothy and Tyreek, the parents, you all? We can point the blame at anybody. But who will step up and make a change? The change started that night for me. Let's make a difference. It don't have to just be us. It can be all. Or is it just another person dead in the streets? Yeah. And another suspect in jail. And that's where it all ends. And that's not where it should be. We should make a difference. Who will we blame?
We will take questions now, please. Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
when did the light click that you want to turn this pain to a purpose with this nonprofit charity? I know you posted, I saw on your Instagram story after the FSU mass shooting. Just when did it click that you wanted to keep your son's legacy alive in this fashion?
He's always had a passion for helping people, and that's evident on the website as I referenced earlier. But just a few months after, we have a lot of support locally in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale area. And people wanted to do events to keep his memory present. They went as far as a club he played for, Plantation, named their Thanksgiving trophy after him. It's called the Tim Schmidt Jr. Trophy. Every Thanksgiving, it's the largest Thanksgiving soccer tournament in South Florida. It's a great one. The Jason Taylor Foundation is doing a $5,000 annual scholarship for people that they give away at their chili cook-off every year. So seeing people want to honor him and be involved just told me that I have to do something that can continue his legacy and do what he did best, and that was helping people. So it wasn't more than 2 months after he passed that we had an idea. We just didn't know who we wanted to help, because there's a lot of different ways you can divvy up a charity. But for us, being there for people that are going to go through eventually what we're going through and have to deal with the rest of our lives, I'd like to be there to help them.
Mr. Haggard, in the immediate,
Yeah.
In the immediate aftermath, we had a chance to talk to Chief Smith about what unfolded here. He talked about in the past, they used to have security checkpoints and whatnot, and he blamed the change in state law. And so my question to you, sir, does the blame go beyond the city of Orlando? Has this state loosened its gun laws? And we know they've also tried to push to turn back some of the post-parkland provisions. So at what point is our safe state with the laws we have to regulate guns?
No, our laws in the state of Florida are awful with regard to gun safety. There's no question about it. But the city of Orlando knows that. The police department knows that. The entertainment district knows that. And I feel bad in some sense for some businesses because their government has abandoned them. They've darn sure abandoned these families. There's no question about it. So businesses have to step up in the environment they're in. Or you can make the choice and say to your state government, we're not going to have a lot of tax revenue because we can't hold these events. They cannot, if they've determined they can't be safe, then you can't have them. And so do I agree? If I was writing the laws, I would change them severely in the state of Florida, not to mention the United States. But what we tell businesses all the time in these type cases is, you live in the United States of America. You know the ground rules, and they are not good. This doesn't happen in any other country in the world. And that's just a plain fact. It happens here. The epidemic of gun violence is unique to the red, white, and blue. And that's just a fact. I mean, statistics. But once you know that, whether you're a shopping mall, whether you're an entertainment district, you're having the Ultra Music Festival in Miami, or you're having a festival in Orlando, you have to protect your citizens. And if you can't, because the checkpoints aren't allowed and we've changed different laws, then you have to do something else. So that you have to play within the rules that are laid out to you. And I agree, there aren't good rules. And that's a shame, but Orlando has a delegation. They have a mayor that served in the Florida Senate, and they should be up there with these families. And unfortunately, a lot of other families throughout this state, up there in Tallahassee, try to make those changes. But until they do, you have to secure events like this, or it's never going to stop.
If you could, follow-up question for you, break down what you are seeking in this lawsuit, and to your point about the checkpoints and the gun laws, what does secure downtown look like for you?
Yeah, I think the first thing we're looking for is answers. Right now, when you pull permits like this, and you're having 75,000 people, who's in charge? A lot of people know that there was a lawsuit between the entertainment district and the government about paying for off-duty officers and everything like that. So that's not a good start when you have a private-public partnership and they're not working together. That's a real problem. So we want to see, and sometimes you can only get this through a lawsuit, is who was in charge, who was making all the decisions, what type of security assessment and threat assessment was really done for this type of major event. And everything along those lines. And could you secure some access and strategically plan to have your police in different type places if you have this situation? So that's what the families want is they want answers here. We want to get all these answers, lay it all out, and everything along those lines.
Question.
And Doug, do you want to jump in on some of
I'm
this?
so sorry for both of y'all's losses. I'm so sorry. Question for you, sir, is that you mentioned some of the businesses in the area of downtown Orlando, right? Can you just give us some specific businesses that are going to be listed in this
Sure.
lawsuit? And what would be their liability in this case regarding the shooting?
Well, we're not going to get into the specific businesses that we're going to bring into the lawsuit, but there's a number in the block, as Mr. Haggard talked about earlier. And part of what we're trying to determine, and you go down and you try to figure out who pulled the permit, no one can give you an answer at this point in time. I don't know if it's because no one pulled the permit or it's because they just aren't giving us the information. So we're trying to figure out exactly who, as we just discussed, who was actually in charge. Did the police just decide, you know what, we're going to have a event that they're going to have 75,000 people in this little area, and we're going to just close off the streets? I don't think that's really how it happens. It shouldn't happen that way. If that's really what the answers are, then I think that we're going to find these things out, and things have to be changed. You can't just haphazardly go into having an event such as this with the amount of people that they knew were coming. This wasn't we didn't know that this many people were coming. This isn't the first time they've had it. And we talked about the checkpoints and what the police chief's statements were after the incident, that they can't do anything if their hands are tied. Well, we'll see. I don't necessarily agree with them, but that is what it is. You can't take a firearm into a bar. You can't take a firearm into a bank. You can't take a firearm into private property. There's different things that there are restrictions on where you can and cannot bring firearms. Why are you allowed to bring a firearm into an event that's got 75,000 people? There's no common sense answer to that, but maybe the law allows that. I mean, that's what the position of the city is. Well, why are you allowing it to happen then? It just makes no sense, and these are some of the questions that need to be answered through this lawsuit when we get people under oath and we start taking some depositions.
I understand you cannot name those businesses yet. Do you know how many businesses in that entertainment district will be mentioned in the lawsuit?
Well, one of the first things that we're trying to determine, and we have done our public records request and we've gotten no response, or very limited responses that take forever, very direct questions, is who actually was pulling the permits? And is it an entity or is it a group of entities? You see in the lawsuit that was filed, I believe approximately a month before, there was a group of folks, a group of businesses that obviously followed the lawsuit. They didn't want to have to pay for the off-duty police officers. That was the whole, to boil it down, that's what they were complaining about. They're saying, why is it all on us? You don't charge other entities, you don't charge professional sports team, which also brings a lot of people into the area. That was what their complaint was, and I know that case is still ongoing. So those are the different types of things that we're trying to determine, and we just haven't gotten anywhere with our public records request, which we should already have those answers, but we don't.
Tim and Teresa, it's my understanding that you hadn't met each other until
First
today.
So
First
I'm
time.
just curious what it's like for the two of you to both come together under these circumstances. I mean, what a tragic bond you both share.
Yeah, we're in an awful club. An awful club that you don't want to be in. So, you know, we've been talking about how much this means to me. It wasn't by design or anything like that. I haven't stepped foot up here, other than at UCF for an Eternal Night celebration, which was very nice. I haven't stepped foot in this area since the day we picked up his belongings. So, yeah, and she lives up here, and I'm obviously in South Florida.
Yes.
But it was really nice to meet, and we'll definitely be in touch forever.
Yes, I was waiting. I couldn't wait. When it first happened, you know, things so quickly. But he did. I guess it was him reached out to my baby son, you know, through whatever. And I said, I just want to be able to meet him because our sons, you know, left here somewhat the same. One, was it to the chest?
Yeah, heart.
Heart. Mine was to the head. And the thing that we have, you know, in common with all of this is the same person that did the act, and we're just basically trying to find out what's going on here. You know, my thing was downtown a lot, but I've pushed back because it's very fearful. I used to love to come down, but when you keep seeing things over and over, it kind of, you know. So like, I want to say we're trauma bonding, right?
Yeah.
Trauma bonding, yeah, and we're gonna make a difference.
One more question for Mom, and you know, like I said, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I know you talk about carrying the legacy of your son through charity. How do you carry your son's legacy?
Me? Oh, I am in the process of doing that as well. Like I say, I'm an entrepreneur, so I kind of a little behind, but my heart was in the right place where I want to be to carry his legacy on, where we will be able to help different families, like he said, be able to say, what can we help you with? And not just at that moment, but moving forward. Like some people can't afford grief counseling. We want to be able to do that. We want to be able to do, I've already started mentorship with some men that in the area to different young men, starting at the age, because I have a grandson. And I definitely don't want him to go down this route, and I definitely don't want him to go out the way my son did. So the mentorship starts at the age 13, and it goes all the way to the age 25. And the reason why I chose 25, because that's the age that my son lost his life. So we're me and my family, which is my other 3 children, we're sitting down and we're doing some things. And Ms. Tawana Ware, who is here, Village of Love, who I am a part of, we have already started the paperwork to start my foundation for Tyreek Hill, a.k.a. Rico.
Any other questions?
And this is for the parents, and again, my condolences for Hill's loss. Has OBD said anything to y'all as far as their own investigation is concerned about why this took place?
No.
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 And is there any message that you would like to leave with for the shooter himself? I understand he's still locked up, but is there anything that you would like to say about it?
Just on the criminal case, it's ongoing. They don't really want to comment on that and affect the prosecution anyway, but thank you, no.
Lastly, any message in terms of how you want everybody to remember the legacy of both your sons?
You know, our last conversation was the last text I sent to him after he sent my wife and I a picture of him in his outfit with friends that were visiting from South Florida. They weren't from up here. They were visiting him for Halloween weekend. They did Halloween Horror Nights, and then they went to this celebration the night after. They were out to have a great time. he was a designated driver that night. And he was just doing it to show his friends around the area and have a great time with them. And I literally, my last message to him was, have fun and take care. And he always went out with a smile on his face and never had a bad bone in his body. And again, he was just doing that to show his best friend Simon, who came up from Pembroke Pines, Florida. He wanted to show him around. He showed him all of UCF. He showed him Halloween Horror Nights. I think they did another park that week. And, you know, he wanted to show him where he hung out and where he had memories. And that was just him. He wanted to give everybody every ounce of his energy and spirit that he had.
Mine would be my son, as everybody know, his smile and his love for people. That's how I want everybody to remember my son. That he loved it you. It don't matter what. He loved it you, and a lot of young men after this happened came to me and said that he was a great inspiration. One man said, young fella said that he wanted to commit suicide. And he said, your son came to me with no gas in his car. Didn't know whether he was going to make it, to sit with him and to talk with him. And he said, it's because of your son that I'm still here. So his encouragement and his light that he brings into a room.
Any other?
Sir, the attorney, this lawsuit, seems you guys are looking for accountability, right?
Yeah, accountability and answers. Absolutely. And one thing I would say to everyone, you know, we've talked about Tim and Tyreek so much as the parents' loss. I want to be very clear. This is all of our losses. I mean, when you have two young men like this, ironically two entrepreneurs with two of the most incredible smiles, all you've heard about is the effect they made on others. Gun violence is a tremendous loss for all of society. You can't have a society when you lose young, just absolute leaders, and people are going to be productive in your society. And that's why I agree that the state has left us behind, the nation, but we really have to get that accountability here, get the answers so it doesn't happen again. Like Doug was saying, don't hide the information. And if you all want to do some FOIA requests, we would encourage you to do so from the media, because we've got to get these answers so it doesn't happen again. I've stood here too many times with families, and we're just losing our youth. 40,000 people a year die in the United States from gun violence. It's the #1 killer of 18 and older. For the first time ever in the United States 2 years ago. First time since the automobile was created, that guns have now overtaken. And there are a lot more guns in the United States than there are people. And that's not slowing down. So thank you all.
You're bringing this lawsuit against the city of Orlando and OPD.
Yes, and the, like we talked about, a number of the members of the Orlando Entertainment District, the Block, which is a loosely organized entertainment district, and those private enterprises.
And is there a timeline for when that lawsuit will be filed?
It will be filed this month. And just as everyone probably knows, this month is the start of, and this month is Gun Violence Prevention Month. So the family warrant, these two incredible parents who met today, you know, I wish they didn't ever have to meet, although I'm sure you guys would have been friends, but to have to meet over this, they wanted to do this now and try again to get as much awareness out there that we can with this tragedy, to do whatever we can to save all of your children and everyone's children.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.